So we're going to talk about Pepsi. Now, this one for me, I get excited about talking about big deals, right? Big business deals happening in the entertainment industry. This is the stuff that's sexy for me. So, basically, we're talking about the renewal of the sponsorship deal between Pepsi and NFL. They have, in fact, renewed, but Pepsi has pulled out and is not going to be the official sponsor for the
Yep.
halftime show moving forward. And there's more that kind of goes into this, but we were diving into all the different halftime shows
Yeah, we were going
in the
through 'em.
last like decade and just kind of looking at, what's done well, what's flopped.
And it's interesting because it's like, when you look at where they're ranking and, where the top performing Super Bowl shows that have the most viewership to them, they're all like, if you go to the top 10, 9 of that 10 were Pepsi put on shows. So it is kind of odd that they're kind of just kind of walking away, but they've had really, really huge moments, and then the last few years have just been kind of they haven't gone back up to those high points yet. The last one with Dr. Dre and all them was like the highest rated Super Bowl or viewed Super Bowl in the last like 6 years. So they had kind of like a
My
low
light
point.
just died. Just because I'm very distracted now. Just so you know, the reason why I suddenly went to darkness was because my light just died and it won't turn on. So sorry about that, guys.
Let me see
Yeah,
what
but
I can do
one of
here.
the things that, for
Hold on,
example, we were
show
looking at.
producer is gonna go produce.
Oh, okay. Well, here I'll hold down the fort. But we were kind of looking at some of the prior shows, and for example, that Orko and I were watching a documentary about Janet Jackson, and for example, the fiasco, right, with her appearance with Justin Timberlake, and the wardrobe malfunction, and basically how that kind of tanked her career for a number of reasons. Not just the fact that the press really went in on her and attacked her. Way more than I would say that if it was a male performer and there was some kind of wardrobe malfunction, but that, she did seem to kind of double down when asked to apologize. She didn't want to apologize. Be that, thank you very much. Be that the right or wrong thing to do, I can't make that judgment call, but we did see that her career, suffered a massive blow. And so we kind of look at, the halftime show as this incredible opportunity for any artist to have this exposure because we're looking at the numbers, right? So, in the last 10 years, the average viewership was between, in some instances, 90 million on the upwards of 118 million. And we actually looked at, 1 through 10. And I don't know if you have that, but,
Yeah,
the
I got
1
it right
through
here.
10 of the most popular halftime
So
shows.
so I won't go through all of them, but we'll
Yeah,
we'll do
go
some
on the screen.
highlights.
Go on the screen. Let's take a look.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
There
All right, hold on. We're almost there. All right.
we go.
All right. So the number one was Katy Perry, had 118.5 million viewers. And that's really not surprising because I remember when that happened, it was everywhere. They had the whole left shark thing that was like this phenomenon that everybody was dressing up as like the left shark, or was it left shark or right shark? One of the sharks in her
Right.
performance.
No, she had two
Um,
sharks. There were two sharks, but I think
but
one
there was
got a
left
little more
shark
love.
and right shark, but one of
Right,
them
right,
was,
right.
yeah. But I remember that performance just being really good for Katy Perry. Like, I've always kind of like enjoyed Katy Perry. Like, she's fine, but I've never been like a huge fan. I was just like, oh, Katy Perry's doing it. It's like, I don't know if I really cared, but I remember watching that performance and be like, oh man, Katy Perry's awesome. So yeah, no, it was a great one. Of course, no surprise. Who's next? Lady Gaga. I mean,
Yes,
that
I thought
thing,
she look, her performance
endurance.
art and the endurance of what, because again, I saw a little of the behind the scenes of the prep that goes into it. Obviously, this is the same for any of these performances, but Lady Gaga has in her entire career always gone that extra mile, and I thought she put on a phenomenal show. I love the fact that she sings live. She's an amazing singer, and that's, imagine the pressure. It's not, just one song, just one performance, but like, probably one of the most important performances of your life. So she slayed.
Just killed it. Coldplay, but like I remember that. Yeah, but that was a dope one because it wasn't just Coldplay. It was Bruno Mars and I think like Beyonce. Yeah, Beyonce, Bruno Mars, and like they did like Uptown Funk. I remember that performance is also really good. But I am kind of surprised that one was so I mean, maybe that had to do with more of just like who was playing that game. That one's kind of surprising to me.
Ultimate Musings says Metallica needs to do a
Now you
Super
got
Bowl
something.
halftime show.
Now you got something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that would be crazy. Bruno Mars, number 4. He came out, that was the Chili Peppers one. I think that's the one where, again, this was another one of those cases where I wasn't really that into like a Bruno Mars. This was before like the whole more Uptown Funky stuff, and he was doing like the Treasures and stuff like that. But I think he's the one where is this the one where he played drums on? I remember one that he was playing
Oh, I know what you're
drums,
talking about.
and I
I
was
know what
just
you're
like,
talking
oh my
about, yeah.
god, like he was so good. And all of a sudden, I was watching him play the drums. I was looking at Bruno Mars differently from that moment on. And I mean, he's just incredible. Like he's such a great
Well, and
songwriter.
that's
I mean,
so
so
not just songwriter, but right, obviously a singer, a dancer, but also a producer. The songwriter portion, but also he plays multiple instruments. And so, all of this ends up getting kind of watered down because he just becomes this brand that we know as, the name, the voice, and he's incredible for just those things. But obviously, his star and talent goes well beyond that. So, of course, I'm not surprised that he's in the
that's
top
Silk Sonic.
5.
Madonna was number 5. Now this is the only one that Pepsi did not sponsor. I want to say like Bridgestone tires did. I think I remember reading it. But she did something with like, I think like LMFAO, it says here. Nicki Minaj. I don't even really remember this one. I don't think I
For
watched.
all of these little appearances, and I think Winston has a good point. He goes, as far as artists lip syncing, right? I know personally that there have been little moments here and there in Super Bowl halftime shows and many, big televised shows where artists will lip sync for either a small portion of a song because they're dancing and it's very high energy, or for maybe an entire song. Or for example, like with rappers, they will just have the backing track very loudly. You know that there's obviously another voice going, but they own it because it's part of the performance style. So, when it comes to what is acceptable, is our, I guess, impression as a culture, as a population, that no one should ever sing to a track or should fully lip sync. What's your opinion?
Oh, I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. Like I understand I mean, I've been in the music industry for so long that it's so like old news and just so commonplace in every band. Like rock bands have programming. Like it's no different. Just like, I hear a lot of comments about like autotune. Autotune is just a tool that musicians use to either do some slight corrections or it's a
Right.
style kind of thing. But you'd be surprised to know that a lot of your favorite rock bands, if they've come out past the year 2005, they have a little autotune on those vocals. So they're just, you can't hear it because it's not necessarily
Well,
the
and some
T-Pain
and
sound
some people, I can't tell you even, right. So as a musician, I can't tell you how many people will leave comments on some of my videos and they'll be like, "Oh, the auto tune," and actually there's zero auto tune, but they will think that because there's some kind of
of effect,
EQ, right?
right?
So it gives a kind of a
Or
radio effect,
reverb.
or it does. Yeah, so they'll think that it's some kind of auto tune, which again I'm not going to run away from, right? That's okay. Right? We have T-Pains and we have Kanye's and everyone's
No,
using
I'm fine
auto
with
tune.
autotune. It's a tool, it's a style. But yeah, no. I don't even own the autotune plugin, so we do not use autotune.
Well,
um
and even for example, like Ashley Simpson, right? We go back to now it's
oh, I
so
feel so bad for
commonplace.
her.
But back in the day when she was kind of caught lip syncing, man, did her career kind of take a hit for a while. And I mean, did
I
she even
can
really recover from
let
that?
me let me let me let me let me speak on this a little bit. Let me speak on this Ashley Simpson thing. Somebody brought so let me speak on this. This
Uh-oh,
is
he's
one.
a fan. This is
No, I am.
definitely
Yeah. So I'm a fan of Ashley Simpson. You know what I mean? Like I think that the songs, like her songs are like really good. Like she had Kenna, she had the Neptunes, and Timbaland were writing a lot of her songs. Like there there was fantastic songwriters that were involved in writing those songs. But she got a raw deal because the problem was she got kind of caught and they just wanted to tear her apart because of her genre. I watched recently an Eminem. If you watch that Eminem performance when he's on there with Rick Rubin, and I can't remember what song he performed. That was not live. There's so many artists that have to do it for different reasons. And going back to the Super Bowl, they lip sync a lot of time, or they pre-record it, because the reverberation off of the stadium and stuff is really hard sometimes for the singers to catch on time. So sometimes they're not used to it, and they're singing to like the delayed echo sound, so they'll get off time. So it's that, and it's because it's for TV. So sometimes they'll make exceptions. But if they're completely just faking everything all the time, like, yeah, no, I'm not into that. If they have a backing track that they're using to fill in harmonies and stuff like that, but they're singing live over it and they're doing dancing and they're doing whatever, I don't care about that. If rock bands have synthesizers that are on backing on programming and the drummer's playing to a click track, and because they don't have a synth player and they have the synth, I don't care about that. If there's, it's just how it is, and a lot of times people don't even realize they're hearing it. They're just assuming that they're not. So I don't know. It's just how it is.
Oops, sorry, I turned myself off. I totally understand lip syncing for the Super Bowl halftime show. You really can't do a sound check when they rush everything onto the field. Yeah, I think there absolutely are instances where there are portions that are lip synced. I feel like that kind of happened, for a few moments in this last one. Not for the whole thing, but I definitely felt that that was kind of going on for a minute, and it's just kind of a judgment call. I think as a performer that you need to make, because I think no one wants to get caught not singing. Everyone wants to be perceived as a good singer, as a real singer. But, there are times where, a part of the production is to have some backing vocals or to have something on tape. So it's very
I'm
interesting.
always shocked when they are actually doing it live, because it feels like such a like a common thing known. I just, and maybe it's because I'm in the industry and I'm just so just whatever, that I just know. So I'm just like, oh, everybody knows this, but I don't know. It's weird when people are surprised. And somebody else brought up Milli Vanilli, and that's a completely different scenario, than somebody singing, lip syncing on a live performance to their own music.
Right. Well, and also we're going to get into the legal side of Pepsi. So we're getting a little bit off track. I'm going to hit one more comment really fast. So this one's going back to Super Bowl scandals, the Janet Jackson Timberlake wardrobe malfunction. So that Orko, I was talking about this when you were in here fixing
Okay.
the light, and just that we watched, a documentary about that, and just how Janet's career really took a
Mm.
nosedive after that, and
They did her
you know,
dirty. They did her dirty.
no,
Like,
and Timberlake himself didn't even come to her rescue. He kind of, he had a
and then
moment where he wasn't looking so good.
he kind of threw her a bone and backtracked, like, this year.
Right.
And when he
A
was
decade later.
when he's after he's already reaped the benefits of everything that come, like, he came off unscathed. And I cannot, honestly, if you're into music documentaries, I cannot recommend a documentary more to you right now than the Janet Jackson Lifetime 4-part documentary. It is incredible,
Yeah,
to see
like
it.
very exclusive footage. Michael is in, watching her and Michael writing a song. It was amazing. So definitely go and
And
check
just
that out. But
watching that struggle, but they do a lot on this, and just what she had to go through, and it was just painful to see, because she's my favorite pop artist of all time. Like, could be, she's the best thing to me, that, especially growing up as a pop singer, whatever that happened. So um I think that, I wish that Timberlake would have stood up for her a little bit more. I think people were just, I mean, you think about it, it's like you think about what goes on now. Like, so we just saw those Billboard awards, and we saw, what Megan the Stallion is wearing, and we see what goes on now. And it's like, now they're wishing for Janet Jackson. You know what I mean? It's people just need to kind of relax, in general. I think when things happen with artists, and Prince would perform all the time with his butt hanging out, and Marilyn Manson did the same thing,
yes,
and nobody was
and
canceled. It's definitely a different
well, I
standard
think
for
I
women.
think it was a little different, right? They wanted to cancel Manson, right? They wanted to cancel him, but it only kind of heightened his star, heightened the free press and his fandom. But guys, let's get back to the baseline of we're
Yes.
talking about NFL, and there's the sponsorship deal with Pepsi, right, for the halftime show. So let's talk a little bit about numbers, right? So again, this is what gets me excited when we're doing big numbers, big deals. So Pepsi, of course, having additional brands like Frito-Lay's, Tostitos, all of this is kind of incorporated in the brand deal. And then also the Gatorade company. right? That's a division of PepsiCo. So, as a quick FYI, I guess they're working on a pre-workout Gatorade product that's going to be kind of tested and announced in the fall. It's coming out to the general public next year. I've never gotten into Gatorade just because of like sugar content and worried about, fake coloring and things like that. But obviously
Tastes good
it works.
frozen.
It works to the degree that it needs to be used. But in any case, as far as the kind of money we're talking about, Pepsi is estimated to have paid $2 billion over the last 10 years of its sponsorship deal. So, we kind of talk about, well, now that this opportunity is back on the market. The last time was obviously a decade ago when Pepsi stepped in. The prior, we'll call it the owner or licensee, was Bridgestone.
Bridgestone,
And
yeah.
Bridgestone had paid between $5 to $10 million to have this sponsorship deal in place for, each year. So $5 to $10 million annually. But obviously we do that because of the incredible exposure, the incredible association on maybe even the ground level with the actual players. So, I'm curious, but let's have a conversation about, they're pulling out as far as the halftime show piece. They're still the brand sponsor otherwise, but they're not going to be involved. And I'm wondering if, because, as the best marketing tactics are changing, right? So we spend time talking about TikTok and the fact that someone can have 100 million views on one TikTok video that just has that reach that goes viral. And you have a brand that's paying, let's say, $2 billion, for a spot when you reach, let's say, 90 to 100 million eyes a year. I think that they're looking at their bottom line and saying, how better can we allocate this money?
No, for sure. And it's a huge expense. But they're still going to be getting, they still get constant exposure. You know what I mean? During the game and stuff like that. They're just not going to be shelling out and all the money and stuff for the halftime spots and all those big ads. But someone's definitely going to step up. It'll continue. And for anybody curious, the number 6 performance was last year's Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J, Kendrick Lamar,
I
number 1
love
record
that
in the country.
performance. I love the performers. I love the setup. I loved everything about it. I thought everyone did
That was a
a
great
really
time.
good job.
It was one of my favorites. My favorite of all time was not in the top 10. Is probably the Prince one. But I really liked last year's or this year's the Dr. Dre and Kendrick and Snoop.
Oh, this is interesting. So, as an entertainment lawyer, how would you advise sports clients on the game-winning "I am going to Disney" Insta moments?
Mhm.
Meaning, what kind of contract options would that look like? Probably both, right? So, what Winston is kind of talking about is that the quarterback who is part of obviously the winning team, they do that kind of
So
trademarked,
we have
contracted. We're going to Disneyland.
well, didn't we watch something? What did we watch? I think it was when we were
Yeah, I
watching the
guess
Disney
we went
Channel.
on a binge watching thing about, the Disney
We have
different
an answer for
rides,
this.
histories, and we specifically watched a documentary about this and the fact that this is a long-standing tradition and contractual relationship with the quarterback going to Disneyland the following day after they win, of course, on the winning team, and then, going there with the family, the photo op, they do the festival, and,
But
it's a huge
but they set
promo
them up.
opportunity.
They set them both up ahead of time. So so
Right.
they're ready to go with whoever is going to do it right away. So
Right, because think about that, right? You don't know who's gonna win,
you don't make a
but
deal
as
at the
soon
last
as they
minute.
win, and that's why you have the quarterback who's huffing and puffing and out of breath and crying and whatever in that moment, but they just so happen to catch the shot because again, it is pre-planned. They have to get it, and they always do. So very good
So
comment.
everybody's making money. I'm sure like they go, well, if you don't get it, you're still, we'll still let you and a guest in Disney for on a Tuesday.
Right. Scott, so to be clear, they're not just sponsoring the halftime show, but their brands will still appear with the names of the bowls, Tostita Fiesta Bowl. So yeah, so they are basically still doing their sponsorship deal overall to be associated with the NFL brands, with
Being in the stands and having their products on the sidelines and all that kind of
yeah, and all
stuff.
the recruitment stuff that's done
Yeah.
on the kind of ground level. So you will still see Pepsi, we'll still see Gatorade and the other associated brands, but they're not going to be the official
Right.
sponsor for the halftime show.